talk about these threats with Tom Fuentes. He is a CNN law enforcement analyst and former assistant director of the FBI, and John Matthews, former Dallas police officer and author of Mass Shootings: 6 Steps to Survival. John, I want to start with you here because you say you've seen a surge in these threats against police officers. In your view, when did the rise start and why? What's behind this?
Well, not only have we seen a surge in threats against officers, we've seen a surge in ambush attacks against officers. For the last 4 or 5 years, those numbers have been increasing at a disturbing rate. This year alone, through the first 3 quarters of 2014, the ambush death of police officers in the line of duty was the leading cause of firearms-related death. That's very, very disturbing. We're losing officers being attacked and murdered, eating lunch, sitting in their squad car, and responding to calls for service. And unfortunately, it looks like the fourth quarter 2014, ambush attacks are going to be the leading cause of firearms-related deaths. That's very disturbing to us in law enforcement.
And Tom, I know before you were with the FBI, you were a street cop. You worked the streets, so you have a lot of experience in that field. Have you ever seen an anti-police sentiment as strong as this in your experience?
No, Pamela. When I was an officer in the 70s, there was a great deal of anti-police, anti-military sentiment in the U.S. It was the height of the Vietnam War protests, and we were called pigs, so there was a lot of that. But I think that the ambush and targeting of police officers, as mentioned, is at an all-time high, and we didn't have that before.
And we know with the 2 officers, the 2 NYPD officers that were killed, they were just sitting in their car. So with these type of attacks on the rise, John, what can cops do to protect themselves?
Well, we've got to stay more vigilant. We have to know that it's not just responding to calls for service anymore. Usually when you get a call from that police dispatcher, it kind of, ups your adrenaline level. You're on high alert. You get to the call and you're paying attention to everything. But now, anytime you don that uniform, you put that badge on your chest, you go out there to serve the public, you got to know that you could be a potential target. So like I said, whether you're eating in a restaurant, just having lunch, or sitting with your partner in the squad car, you've got to constantly be aware of your surroundings. You've got to work with your partners to watch the people around you, and we've got to stay vigilant to keep alive to serve the public.
And in some ways what happened with these NYPD officers is a bit of a wake-up call, it seems, because, Tom, there are projected to be, as we talked about, 30,000 cops at the funerals of these 2 officers this weekend. The sad reality, Tom, is that cops are killed every year. In fact, one was just killed recently in Florida. So why do you think this in particular has struck such a chord with these officers?
I think this one in particular because lately we've had such a high level of anti-police. I mean, the protests themselves all over the country are basically critical of law enforcement actions and the decisions that police officers make every day. And in this case, you have an individual who says, I'm going to put wings on pigs. I'm going to go kill police officers. So this is not an encounter with a person that's under the influence of alcohol or drugs or mentally unstable. This is an individual who absolutely said, I'm going to go kill police officers, and did it. And you're right in mentioning the story. On average, more than 1 officer per week in this country is killed in the line of duty. The officer killed in Tarpon Springs, Florida, Charles Conduct, was killed 12 hours after officers Ramos and Liu were killed in New York City. And ironically, he's a former NYPD officer for 5 years who then became a police officer in Florida. So these police killings will go on and on and on. They have, and they're going to continue in the future. And the police just generally feel like, look, we've been telling you what we're doing is dangerous and difficult, and it's bad enough we have ISIS that wants to come attack us with hatchets on a street corner or like they've done in other countries. To have the regular people, regular Americans do it, just raises it to a new level.
And John, I want to go to you now because you see all of these cops lining up to go into the wake of Rafael Ramos, and you wonder what goes through their minds when something like this happened, what happened to these 2 NYPD officers. Are they thinking, that could be me?
Well, I think you always think that. You go on the street and you think that could be me. You think about your family, your wife, your children. You think about serving the public out there. And I think what the officers are thinking about right now in this service, Number one is honoring the memory of these two fallen officers. They want to show their loyalty and their support for the ultimate sacrifice that these officers made. And I think they want to assist the families in any way possible, providing any type of emotional or support for these families. It's terrible, I mean, during the holiday season to lose a family member, to lose an officer and have them killed in the line of duty. These officers are really taking this seriously. And Pamela, we've lost 124 officers so far this year.
Wow. That puts it into perspective. Thank you so much, Tom Fuentes and John Matthews. We appreciate it.